So today we are going to talk about my new tank build that I'm using with subclassing. A lot of people have been asking after the videos I posted what type of tank I'm using. I just have to admit, right now I'm in testing phase. I'm trying different builds, different setups, and different ideas. But all in all, you can see it's a necromancer. If you watch my previous videos, you know I play the pure necromancer build for my tank. But let's get into the build that I'm using right now. So starting off on our front bar, we have our hungry Scythe, which gives us a lot of health and keeps us mostly alive when stuff doesn't go our way. Then we also have the piercing armor, which gives us major breach and minor breach at the same time. Very important debuffs to have as a tank to be able to get to that nice sweet spot of the DDs doing damage. Also, Spirit Guardian is a must have in my point of view because you can save your team members, you can save yourself, and it's like, you know, the emergency button when you need a healer. When your healer is dead, you just press this and everybody should be alive. On the other hand, I really enjoy the Summoner's Armor. When something attacks you, as you can see, it gets drawn to you, and on top of that, you reduce the cost of Spirit Mender, which is the Spirit Guardian that we have right here. It's a morph of it. And then we also get Major and Minor Resolve, which brings us to the cap of a tank of 33k, really easily, resistance. And I'll show you in a moment our sword and board, what it does. Really good. Now, if you're playing in a dungeon and you want to go with 3DDs, this is my flex spot. I usually put an orb. I like this skill because it gives a synergy to everybody, and people will not complain anymore that you don't have synergies in group. On our back bar, as usual, blockade the frost, really good. Killing enemies, making a shield for everybody, really awesome. Then we're using in a rage again. Yes, it's great, it does a bit of damage, but the most important thing, it offers also a synergy, which our allies can use. So also we use Mortal Coil, we get a lot of healing, and we also restore some of our resources. Recently, I was dabbling into Graves Grasp for minor maim, so basically the bosses or the other enemies do less damage, and at the same time we can snare stuff, which I think is pretty nice. As the last skill, I'm using Necrotic Potency, because it's bringing me ultimate, it gives me health, and also it's very good because my damage that I'm taking is reduced by 3% when I'm using, a skill from that skill line. Usually, most people will say don't use a res ulti, but if you're in a pug, you're with people that you want to just have fun, you just don't care about how many deaths you'll have, and you just want to finish the content or you want to teach people, then renewing animation is a must have, in my opinion. You can be the only one alive, and then pop, you put this up, and all your teammates are up again, and you can finish the content that you were starting to use. Now, I want to show you my setup for my armor. It's pretty basic. If you want to be a bit selfish, Ancient Guardian, I found it to be really good. Maximum stamina on both pieces. It really helps me out. Then I have Lucent Echo, or I can put Pearlescent. But the most important part, in my opinion, when you want to have damage, is to bring the penetration up. So for that, we are using the Crimson Oath Ice Staff. Really good and really a must. You can see I'm using Infused Jewelry. Some people will use Harmony, but you can only use Harmony if you are in a group that you have a lot of synergies. So, of course, it's up to you. Now, if you are not lazy, like me, I'm lazy sometimes, you can go and reconstruct the Master Perfected Puncturing Remedy set from Dragonstar Arena. It's just insane. The Perfected version also gives you more resistances. It will ensure you're not gonna die, which is really, really good. But now they changed it, and apparently the resistances are equal to the amount of healing over healing done for 5 seconds, which is something new I didn't know about. In the past, it was almost 6k resistances plus or 5k, don't remember. But now apparently that is not the case anymore. So we will have to see how things will change. I'm just gonna let my cat out and I'll be right back. Right, and now we are back. As you can see, the armor cap is easily reachable. I'm just gonna show you. We just press this one ability, and you can see we are at 32. But if we want to increase it even more to 33k, it's pretty simple. We'll just have to find a piece on our body to put it to reinforced, and then we are there. Most likely one of the monster sets, probably the engine guardian, would put it reinforced, and then we would be at that cap. But I really like the wall fitted, so I can roll dodge when I need to. It's up to you, of course. And of course, we are running the Atronach to increase magicka recovery. Really a must have and really, really good. Now, I want to show you some alternatives in case you want to test some more stuff that you can do, right? So if we go under subclassing, the Dragon Knight Ardent Flame, many people will say, what? Why are you doing this? Why would you use Ardent Flame? Well, I would use it for combustion. When you apply a burning or poison to an enemy, you restore magicka and stamina back once every 3 seconds. Wouldn't this make it a lot easier for you to sustain certain fights? I would say yes, because resources, as we all know, are keeping our tanks alive. We can block, we can roll dodge, we can heal. So this is a very important aspect that you can think about. I'm also going to try this at some point, but I'm not yet sure if I like that more, or if we go after Earth and Heart in the Dragon Knight, we also have a cool skill line that will basically let us generate some ultimate. And we give our group some new buffs. They gain minor brutality, which is really nice. Then we also generate ultimate, so it sounds pretty nice to me. We can also use the Ash Cloud, and we can morph it to Cinderstorm, and then we can have a lot of stamina as well returned. So that's another option that we can devil into. We can also use Molten Weapons. There are some questions here what you're after. If you're after high damage, then probably Earth and Heart is the way to go. But as I said, I'm still experimenting a lot. And this video I made because somebody really asked me, what would you recommend as a subclassing tank? So I just want to give you some options up front. Then, I don't know, many people will say, why are you not using Stormcalling? Well, it sounds good on paper, it's amazing, right? We can use Critical Surge, right? We can get some heals, but it looks more like a DD skill. And if you look at it, it is. Then Lightning Form, yes, it's great. We can zoom past stuff, but look, we just get major resolve. We don't get any minor resolve. So it might not be the best idea. But at the same time, the Dark Magic offers us an interesting opportunity. I'm looking exactly at this skill, where we can bargain with darkness to restore health and magicka instantly when we use stamina, which could be a very interesting idea. At the same time, you can see the passives are really nice. And after blocking an attack, your next health, magic, or stamina ability costs 9% less, which is not bad, right? You just have to look at the passives and think, well, how this passive could help me in a fight, right? And you can see Unholy Knowledge and Persistence. They look really interesting. Blood Magic. You heal again. That's really nice. So this might be a winner at some point. Which could be interesting and could replace maybe the Earthen Heart, right? You would think. But at the same time, you have to remember, Earthen Heart would give us something that this one doesn't, and that is ultimate. So how could we compensate that? Well, if you ask me, and you probably did, we already have, if you remember, this ability here, which is healing us for a lot. We are getting also magic and stamina back from it. We are increasing our healing by 3% as well. It's directly from the Necro. So, this is pretty nice, right? It could be the Dark Dio. The only problem is, we need a corpse for it. Then, we also have this one that we are currently using. which could replace Cinderstorm. But is it worth it, the minor main, compared to Cinderstorm? That's the question that you'll need to ask yourself. Every fight will be different, and every encounter you'll have will test or stress test your build. So those are the questions that you will need to answer yourself. Now, the biggest questions of them all is necrotic potency better, for example, than a scribing skill like Trample? I know, right? Trample. Who would have thought that that would be an interesting skill? But it is, because it generates ultimate. Now, looking at everything, you would say, why in Earth you would use Soul Harvest, right? But you can read here and you can see it's a very low cost ultimate, and we are getting also ultimate from it. That's why we are using it actually. So in trash pools, it's amazing because as a tank, even though you don't believe it, you will still get probably some kills, and then you get some ultimates that you regenerate. With that being said, we haven't looked even right now in Templar, for example. If you are planning to do some solo content, I was checking some people's ideas, and some of them thought that, surprise, surprise, Edric Spear can be a good option. And why wouldn't it be? Because if we're using the different morph than Spear Shard, it has a special morph that will allow us to use the synergy ourselves. Not our group members, but ourselves. So if we are in a pickle where we are struggling to survive, we could basically auto-synergize ourselves. Of course, you would say, well, that's nice, it's all good, but why would you pick this tree? So let's take a look. Of course, we are not interested in the damage because we are a tank, right? But we are interested in minor protection and reducing the damage taken by 5% from Spear Wall, right? The problem is this ability or this passive is not explained clearly right now. So I don't know if it's gonna be every 3 seconds or not. If it's every 3 seconds, it's definitely a winner for me. Now, Burning Light. This again is damage, so it's not important for us. But Balanced Warrior is also, it could be important. Look, increasing your weapon damage, spell damage, and armor. Well, armor is important for a tank, right? Why not increase it by 3% for free? And then you'd say, okay, you showed me a lot of stuff, but can you show me something more? Of course I can. If we go under the Warden and we go under Winter's Embrace, you saw me in a video using this, probably in Artifacta. I was using a morph from Slitstorm. Why I was using that? Well, take a look. We are getting a nice ultimate. It's dealing damage, and it also reduces the movement speed of enemies by 40%. And most importantly, it gives major protection to me and my allies, right? Win-win situation. Then if you apply Frost Cloak, it could be interesting. But do we need it? Remember, we have Summoner's Armor. So maybe we don't need it. But if you look at it, there is a morph that will allow me to put major resolve on my party members and me, which again is a big win. And then on top of that, you probably seen me with Arctic Wind, which heals quite a lot and can bring you a lot of health. So at the end of the day, it's just testing out new abilities, see what works for you. But you do have some limitation and some rules that you'll need to follow. So let me just explain. Or maybe it's a recap. So basically your spell and physical resistance needs to be 33k. Then nothing that is not a one shot will kill you, which is great. You need to balance your attributes and think about it. Is stamina the most important one for me, or is it magicka? Or is it my health? And you need to always take into consideration, is any of my passives gonna be influenced by my stats? And most of the time it's maximum health. And you can also read on some abilities. You see, it says here, this ability scales off your maximum health. So basically, I can make my health higher by having a lot of health and then applying more health to myself. Would that save me? Depends on the encounter, right? Now, another important rule that I learned is 8880. Okay? I'm gonna write it on my screen. This is usually, yeah, the resistance cap of the enemies. We need to bring in our teams, doesn't matter if it's a dungeon, a trial, our team to this penetration cap. If we go over it, it's not gonna count. If we go under it, it's gonna be like hitting a rock, yeah? It's like I'm hitting right now with my stave, this rock. 0 damage, right? Or very little. So that's basically all there is to tanking. Now, we also need to talk about CPs. Of course, many people will think, well, I already know what CPs I want to use. I don't need your video, right? You think that. But let me just take a bit of your time and show you something different than most people that are using under tanks. So I'm using a semi-PvP build. Why? Because I want to be self-sustainable in a dungeon or trial. And at the same time, it doesn't bring me any cons to it. Let me show you why. So I'm losing Sustain by Shadows. What I'm getting from this, I'm getting increased health, magicka, and stamina, recovery by 30 per stage. So you can see I have 150 recovery in health, magicka, and stamina just from this CP, sustaining by suffering. Then I'm going with expert evasion. Why would I use this? Well, when I wouldn't have a lot of synergies, I wouldn't have resources, and I know it's going to come a one-shot mechanic. We all know that, right? We have some add-ons sometimes, or we know the fight. We can do the roll dodge and avoid getting killed. As a tank, it's very important to stay alive, right? Now the next one could be completely out of this world, right? But just listen to me a bit. So while afflicted with the status effect, your core combat skills cost less percent per stage. So I'm getting a 25% cost reduction of my abilities. Well, guess what? Most bosses have status effects that they are putting on us. You can see them in logs, you can see them in fight. It's a no-brainer, you know, if you think about it. I haven't used this in the past. I just discovered it and I'm like, okay, why would I use this? Then the next one is rejuvenation, right? Everybody knows it, every tank has it. It's a must-have. It grants health, magicka, and stamina recovery per stage. So it's pretty amazing. Now, going in the blue tree, here things are becoming a bit more complicated. Why would you say that? Well, most people would play, surprise, surprise, with bulwark because they need spell and physical resistances. And it's a solid choice. I wouldn't say it isn't. But if you're overcapping, the CP is useless. Don't use it. So what can we use instead? Very easily, we can use unassailable with reducing the damage we take by area of effect attacks by 3% per stage. So it's 6% damage reduction, doesn't seem much, but overall you'll feel it. If you're going, for example, in Asylum Centurion +2, you'll definitely feel it. Then Duelist Rebuff, again we are reducing the damage taken by single target attacks by 3% per stage. Even again, 6% damage reduction, really good to have. And then we also have Enduring Resolve, which gives us again 6% damage reduction to damage over time attacks, which in most cases most bosses will have. Then because we want to be cool and make sure that we also reduce more stuff, we are using Ironclad to reduce our damage taken by direct damage attacks, again 6% per stage. Now, here is the biggest question that I have for myself and for others. Is Ironclad going to stack with Duelist rebuff? But if you think about it, yeah, it's damage, direct damage. That means it's a different type of damage than everything else that we are using right now that is a damage reduction. So it's really good. All in all, we are reducing the damage that we take. We are getting a lot of resources from what you see. And then we have the green tree. And everybody's like, okay, in the green tree, I do whatever I want. Of course, that's partly true. But, and here comes the but. Very important from my point of view, professional upkeep. Why not reduce the cost reduction of your repairing? And then get Stage Blessing, increasing your combat speed by 4% per stage. Really good. Then we can also think about Steadfast enchantments. And Treasure Hunter is a must-have in my point of view. If you want that great loot, you really need it. Then if you are into crafting, meticulous disassembly is a great skill as well. But that's not about tanking, right? But Rationeer is. So why not increase the duration of our food, our drinks, sorry, by 10 minutes? Ah, it's food and drink now, Rationeer. So, really good. Then we can go with liquid efficiency. Whenever you use a potion or poison, you have a 10% chance to not consume it. Well, think about it like this. Right now, it's like 80k, a stack of 200 pots of 3-stat health potions that most tanks will use. Wouldn't you use this to reduce your cost of using those pots? I would. And with that, my dear friends, I think I covered everything I wanted for tanks today. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Ask me directly or tell me I'm completely wrong and you have a better build. If you do, please post it in the comments below so we can all see it, learn from it, and then become better players. Thank you very much for viewing my build, for understanding and being with me. And I'm sorry for everybody that was waiting for this video. It took a while to come out, but it's finally here and I hope everybody will enjoy it. Thank you again for joining me and I wish you an awesome day. See you next time.